Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. CollectAWrestlePalooza, purveyors of the wrestling collecting hobby. Today's video is going to be another WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars action figure video. My collection of these figures is not huge, but the viewers have spoken. Everyone seems to be watching those videos more than anything else on my channel, so I'll give you more of what you want. I'm going to be featuring 3 more figures today, and today I'm going to be asking you, which one is your favorite? So I'll be analyzing and reviewing the quality and condition of these, and at the end of the video I'll tell you which one is my favorite. Post a comment, tell me if you agree. Enjoy.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
Alright, welcome back. Here are the 3 figures I will be featuring. We're going to start on the far left with George the Animal Steele. Now, George Steele was part of Series 2 of the Wrestling Superstars collection. Came out in 1985, but I've seen him listed on eBay as a 1986 action figure. So I'm going to take a look at his trunks right now and see if mine is a 1985 or a 1986. It does say 1986, so I believe that even though the Series 2 came out in 1985, this action figure is part of the 1986 run of that collection. Now, one thing about George Steele that you're going to notice right off the bat is the hair all over his chest and on his back, which was part of the real human being himself. Of course, he was a very hairy guy. And I know there's some controversy about the hair on the figure, whether that adds to the figure, whether it detracts, should it have been painted on. I like it just the way it is. I think that it's perfect. You see the texture of the hair, you see the shadows of the hair, but I think that having, brown hair all over the figure would have looked kind of gross. So I think it's perfect. I love him just the way he is. A little bit about George Steele and my memories. So my favorite memory of him is his green tongue, which you can see is very brightly portrayed on the figure himself. When I was a kid, there was a contest in a local newspaper around St. Patrick's Day that said, name as many green things as you can, and the family that names the most green things will win a prize. So my family went through, and one of the items that we mentioned on that was George Steele's green tongue, and we got mentioned in the newspaper. We came in second place, which of course was disappointing, but that mention in the newspaper was one of the highlights of my childhood. The other thing I remember about George Steele is him, of course, eating turnbuckles as a wrestler. And I swear that the WWF used to manufacture the turnbuckles differently to allow for that effect. So now let's take a look at the figure himself. Of course, people that follow my channel know that I will only buy figures in really, really good shape. I try to buy near mints. There's really no such thing as a mint LJN unless you get it right out of the packaging, but this guy's in really good shape. I like that his tongue is completely colored. His eyes look good. Eyebrows are okay. Eyebrows is a lot of times where you're going to see wear. And then, of course, there is that wear right above his knee pad there, and some wear on the front of the boots, particularly on the bottom. But the buttock area is pretty clean, not much wear on the back. And I like that his torso, his stomach, and his back are also free of marring and wear. There's really no dirt on him. I think that he's a good solid B+, in terms of condition. Moving on to number 2, this is Big John Studd. Now, Big John Studd was part of Series 1 Wrestling Superstars from 1984, and of course part of the famous 5-back, which were the first figures introduced, which included Long Hair Andre, Jimmy Snuka, Hulk Hogan, Iron Sheik, and John Studd. Now, what I really like about Studd was his feud with Andre the Giant. His $15,000 body slam match at WrestleMania 1 is one of the most iconic matches in early WWF. Of course, at that point, Andre was still a babyface. And he was also aligned with 2 of my other favorites from early WWF, Bobby the Brain Heenan and King Kong Bundy. And he was part of that stable. The other thing I like about Big John Studd is that he was really at the end of his career when the early WWF Golden Age took off. So I feel like if the timing had been different, he would have been a champion. He was huge, trained by the great Killer Kowalski. listed as 6'10" and over 350 pounds. One of those just true giants of the sport. And that was always attractive to me as a child. I liked the big wrestlers. So I'm going to take a look at the condition of Big John Studd. The thing that I really like about him is his tights. A lot of times the action figures from Series 1 in the early days that have white in particular, it's very, very hard to find a figure with no paint wear, and he has absolutely no paint wear on the tights. His boots, of course, do show standard wear. It's very, very hard, particularly a Series 1, to find one without any wear on the boots. And then his face is really nice. It's very toyetic. There is some wear on his eyes and eyebrows, which I think you can see here, but it just looks okay. You know, the way his facial features are, it doesn't look distracting. It just looks like normal wear on a figure. And then his hair is completely intact, which I also think is pretty nice. So again, I would put him in the BB plus range. Maybe where he's a Series 1, he might get an A minus, just because it's so hard to find a Series 1 that's completely clean. Moving on to the far right here, Iron Sheik, also part of the Series 1 Wrestling Superstars from 1984. My favorite memory of the Sheik was that he was the heavyweight champion before Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan beat Iron Sheik to get the championship. And that always holds a mystique for me. I also always loved his pointy boots as a child. I'd imagine him kicking other stars with those points and the damage that that would cause. And he's also the only Iranian champion in WWF history. I like that he was authentically from Iran. I think that added to his character. Final thing that I find interesting about the Sheik, of course, his famous arrest in 1987 with Jim Duggan for drug possession. And there was a lot of controversy around that with kayfabe, because a babyface and a heel were hanging out together. But I think that that points to just the strength of his character, that the kayfabe would be so controversial with the Iron Sheik. Now, if we're looking at condition, again, for a Series 1 figure, he's in great, great shape. His eyebrows, are worn off a little bit, but his mustache is intact. And I think just toyetically, he looks really good. There is a mark on his belly button, but that really is the only mark on his body. And his body has that nice clean sheen, indicating that it hasn't been abraded or cleaned. So I think that he, is in pretty original condition. And then his tights are in great shape. The Iran is very legible. There is some wear, on the back, but that's expected for a Series 1. Again, very, very hard to find one that's absolutely clean. But I think overall, he just looks good. He just looks very clean for a Series 1. There is some boot wear, but not a ton. And a lot of people say that it's very, very hard to find a Sheik with a clean face, because in the early days, if you owned a Sheik and you owned a Hogan, the Sheik was going to be taking a lot of leg drops from Hogan. So again, I put him in the A-, B+ range. So that does it, guys. So as promised, I'm going to tell you which one of these three is my favorite. And the answer to that is Big John Studd. I just love this John Studd. He's a little bit bigger than the other guys. You can see the scale of him. He's a larger guy. He's 6'10". And the thing I really like about him is just the clean white tights. I think that, a Series 1 figure in that condition, he's a real gem of my collection. Do you agree? Tell me your thoughts. This is CollectAWrestlePalooza. Takes a lot of work to make these videos, and your comments help keep me motivated. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.